are going to do a quick dinner. It's a great one to do on like a weeknight. We're gonna have some carnita tacos with some pickled red onions, and then we're gonna do an avocado ranch dressing for just a quick salad, some guac, and salsa. So just a really simple, easy taco dinner on there. So I do have my carnitas here. This is my pork roast that I had in my Instapot cooking. So when I'll take it out, we'll be able to shred it up. I have it seasoned in here, cooked in some vegetable broth with some tomato paste, oregano, bay leaves, garlic salt, and liquid smoke for about 3 hours on high. So on the pressure cooker setting on high, and that's going to make it so it completely shreds apart and has some great flavor in it. So let's start by getting our red onions kind of sliced up here and ready to pickle. We're going to do a quick pickle on them. So what we're going to do to get that kind of quick pickle, some base to it, is we're going to blanch them in some hot water for just a minute or two. And then we'll rinse them, and then we'll add some apple cider vinegar and salt and a little water to get a base on there. And that will just add this nice acidity to our tacos for our carnitas. So I'm just going to slice them really thin. And then we're going to also use some of this in our salsa as well. But I will say pickled red onions are just absolutely delicious on carnitas. They give you that just nice bit of acidity that is just so lovely. Kind of cut through, in a pretty savory dish. And then I've got this little bit over here that I'm going to kind of dice up for our salsa. And I'm just going to do a simple pico de gallo, nothing bougie, just nice and simple. And then what we'll do is I've got my seasoned carnitas, but I like to, when you cook it up in the Instapot with the pressure cooker, it's a very wet carnita. So I always take it out and do a quick saute with some spices in the pan on there to give it, just dry it out a little bit so it doesn't make my taco soggy and just be delicious. Okay, so I've got this part of my red onion minced up, and that is going to be for our pico. I've got these ready for when our water's at a nice boil, we'll get them dropped in there for a really quick blanch. Okay, let's get some oil heating up in here, and we can toast up some of our carnita meat. I'm gonna just put about a tablespoon in here. I don't need a whole lot, just enough to kind of, give a nice little crispy edge to it. Turn that here, and let's see, how hot is that? I should be able to take it out. So here, again, we've got our stewed up meat. I'm gonna get some tongs, pull the bone out. I used a kind of a picnic roast, so the bone, you see how tender it is? It just comes right out here. So I'm just gonna place this right over here, and I always like to break it up and toss it in these juices that again has so much flavor and seasoning, but just see how tender it is. It falls right apart. It gives you as if you spend all day smoking your meat or whatnot, but really you just popped it in an Instapot. There we go. So I always like to stir it up in those juices, get those flavors in here. And then we're gonna use kind of a slotted spoon to take it out because I don't want to take all of those juices with me. We're going to add this into our pan so we can start sauteing it off. Kind of cook off a little bit of that, and then we'll add some dry spices to it to give us more of a little Mexican flair. The base seasoning I have on this is where you can do it. Really, you can choose your seasonings. You could do barbecue and have kind of a pulled pork. You could do with like Italian seasoning and have a pulled pork sandwich that like with green onions, kind of like and so it gives you a lot of opportunity to kind of change it up. But we're gonna do Mexican today. Got most of this out. And then I'm actually gonna pull some of this fat and put it back in here because we don't need that. And this was with the bone in. It was about a 4-pound roast, kind of a picnic roast or a Boston butt roast. So you can see it kind of breaks down, but it's a good portion of meat here, but that bone does weigh about, and there's, you know, the fat kind of reduces out as well. And I'm gonna pull out the bay leaf. There we go. And I'm gonna keep this over a medium heat, and we're gonna let those juices kind of simmer off here for just a second. But I will sprinkle some spices over the top of this, and we'll let them steam up. So we're gonna start with some paprika, and we're gonna do mild because, again, we like it mild here. I'm gonna take off. We want about a teaspoon to a teaspoon and a half of paprika. You could use regular or smoked would be great as well. It goes with the liquid smoke that we have in the meat, so it would give a little bit more. We're gonna use some ancho chili powder, which is pretty mild chili powder. It's nice. We're gonna add in about a teaspoon. And I've got some cumin, which will give us a nice kind of earthy flavor to it. We're gonna add in about a teaspoon as well. And again, my meat does already have some spices on it, so you don't need to go full, you know, heavy on it. And then we're gonna do some onion powder. I'm gonna do about a tablespoon of onion powder. Make it nice and savory and delicious. It's like it's snowing. And then last but definitely not least, some garlic salt. We'll shake a little bit over, about a teaspoon for now. We'll see if we need some more later. We're gonna let those steam up before we mix it in. Let me check on my water here. Once this comes to a nice boil, we'll drop these into blanch real quick. Let's whip up our avocado ranch first before we get making our salad. Let me grab a little dish here for that. So we're gonna use, I have a spoon, right back over here. We're gonna use mayo and then some heavy cream and lime juice to kind of be the base for it. So I'm gonna do about a half a cup, maybe a little bit less, like a 1/3 cup of mayo with a 1/3 cup of cream. Let's see, it's more like a half a cup. So just equal parts mayo and cream for this. And then I'm gonna squeeze over juice from a fresh lime. And you're gonna want the lime juice over lemon for this because we're gonna be putting avocado in it, and it's gonna work better with those kind of nice kind of flavors. So I'm gonna just put in the juice of half because this was a really juicy lime. And then let's get some avocado in here. Pretty good one. Grab. Can actually just pop it in here. I think I only need a half on here, but let's give this a good mix, and then I'm gonna mix it up. I'm gonna get a whisk here so I can kind of break it up a little bit better. And then we're gonna add in our ranch seasoning, which will give us all that ranch flavor, but that avocado and that lime juice is just gonna make it a little bit more of that, you know, Mexican flair to it. Okay, I think we're good with only one avocado, but you could always add more for an even more like creamier base to it, because avocados just really add a lot of creaminess to it. But you can see it already has kind of a mild, like really light kind of green color to it. And then we're gonna add in our ranch spices. So I can get them in the packets. I have a big tub of it. We're gonna put in about a tablespoon to 2 tablespoons in here. So that's about 1 tablespoon. And we're gonna mix that in, but now I'm gonna just toss in my spices now that they've had a chance to steam up, and you can see most of our liquid has kind of evaporated, which is perfect. because it will leave all the flavor behind, but we'll make it to where we don't have a soggy carnita. Grab this little bit of fat out. And toss up these spices, and we're going to continue to cook off this extra liquid. Okay, let's mash this guy down. Get that ranch in here, and then I'll give it a taste, see if I want to add any more lime, but I think I might be good. There we go. Perfect. I don't even... I love ranch. I don't need to add any more lime. It is beautiful.
And it's on your sweatshirt.
Oh my goodness. This is why you can't take me anywhere. And it's everywhere else too. Good thing I love ranch. We'll leave the whisk in there before I do any more damage. Okay. It looks like our boiling water is, our water's at a boil. So we're just going to drop our red onions in here, and we're going to blanch them. So that means you're just going to cook them in water for a very short period of time, less than around a minute. That just takes out some of the sharpness of the onion and leaves a little bit of the flavor there, which then will allow it to pick up the pickling pretty quickly. So we're going to let that sit there for just a second. Let's clear out some of this stuff. Let's get our bag of lettuce in here going for our salad. This one's really tricky, guys. You just open it up and dump it out. So just some based romaine lettuce for that. And then let's make some pico de gallo and guacamole. So funny. So my mom cannot say guacamole correctly for the life of her. She calls it guacamole. She just can never say that E sound on it. And so she's like, oh, can we get some guacamole? And I just think it's the funniest thing. And every time she says that, I'm like, E, there's an E sound to it.
I mean, in all fairness, English was like the third language she learned.
Yes, that is true. But, she's lived here long enough. She should say the E on the guacamole. So now I almost feel like I always have to order it and say guacamole. And she doesn't even realize she's saying it wrong. And it's just hilarious. Just clueless about it. Okay, we've got our vine ripe tomatoes here, and we're gonna just kind of dice them up into nice kind of smaller chunks for our salsa. And then we're gonna take our onions out because it's been just about a minute. You don't want to overcook them or blanch them too long, or they'll get, lose all of their flavor.
Judy sent you a gift.
Oh, thank you, Judy. We appreciate that. I'm gonna grab my fine mesh strainer here since I cut them nice and small. And what we're gonna do is I'm gonna strain them, and then I'm gonna flash them with some cold water to prevent them from cooking some more. Here we go. Perfect. Just like if you're making pasta salad, you always rinse them with some little bit of cold water. Okay, I'm gonna put my pickled onions in here. And then while I'm over here, I'm just gonna add a splash of water, of cold water, because you don't wanna just have it straight up vinegar. You want water and vinegar together. And then of course we'll add a little bit of sugar. So we've got some apple cider vinegar. You can also use like white vinegar if you want to. We're gonna put in about a tablespoon. And then let me go grab my sugar over here. Oh, beautiful. Let's toss this meat first. Okay, this is almost done evaporating out. Beautiful. This is one of my go-to meals when I need to have a dinner cooked up pretty quick. Instapot carnitas, and you do a little bit, a couple hours before, and then when it's time to dinner, it's just like a simple. Okay. So we have in here our water, which was just enough to cover the purple onions that we blanched. And then we added in a tablespoon of vinegar. And then I'm going to add in about, I want to say, half a tablespoon of sugar. I don't want mine super sweet, but enough to cut through it.
Could you use red wine vinegar?
Yes, you could definitely use red wine vinegar. that would work wonderful for it. Okay, so here are our kind of our quick pickle on our red onions. That blanching again is going to get rid of that crispness, so they have more of that pickled texture to it. So it's just a really quick way to do it. Okay, you don't need to add any more, but I always want to make sure I have it all right. Okay, let's get a couple more tomatoes in here. Quarter pico. This is Evie's favorite thing. She always just steals the bowl of salsa and takes it to her plate and takes it. And I'm like, I want some salsa too. That girl loves tomatoes. Here we go. I think that's pretty good in there. We'll save these ones for it. So we've got our red onions in there, our tomatoes. Let's put some sweet peppers in. You could use a green pepper if you want, or if you can handle the spice, a jalapeno would be great. But if you're like me and the rest of my family, minus my husband, apparently he likes spicy foods, but he never gets them. Then, you know, he just suffers with us with our mild, bland, not spicy foods. I always forget that he doesn't like spicy foods because I'm always like, oh, let's keep it mild, mild, mild. But he loves like Nashville hot chicken, and I'm like, I can't enjoy it because it makes me cry. I actually like start to sweat when I eat spicy food. It's crazy. And I don't sweat. Like, that's one of those things. I'm like a weird human being who doesn't sweat. There we go. Mince these up nice and small. We'll add them into our pico. And if you have cilantro, you could definitely throw in some cilantro. We're just going to keep it pretty simple with some green onion here. I'm just going to use the greener part. I'm going to save the white ones. I'm going to slice it or mince it up kind of fine. Throw that in there. And then we'll add lime juice and some garlic salt. Keep it really, really simple. And if you love cilantro, toss it in. Go. So there's our green onions, and then I'm going to squeeze this half of our lime over it. The fresh lime juice is what you need. It's the perfect acidity to kind of balance that out and really marries the whole salsa together. And then a little bit of garlic salt. We'll mix that in just a second. Let's get our avocados going, and we'll make some guacamole because you can't have tacos without guac. Ew, that was the one Jack threw. Jack threw one of my avocados. Oh, these are all no buenos. Maybe he got the bag. Let's see. Okay, looks like we're gonna save. We've got enough. I always buy extra. 3 is about the perfect one, but always buy extra. You know, I always feel like with avocados, it's like Russian roulette. You never know if you're going to get a good one or not. Well, I know Jack, he had one and he threw, but who knows? He steals them off the counter all the time, all of my produce. I always find them in random spots, little bites out of them. So you can tell some of this is where they were dropped. So let's take those parts out and leave just the good green parts. Okay. This one has a bit more that's good. There we go. So not bad on that. And I think this one has at least a good spoonful or 2 in there. It's like surgery. You gotta take out the good stuff. Okay, and there it's not salvageable. Now we're gonna add our lime juice here. With guacamole, I add almost twice the amount of lime juice as I do with salsa because it keeps, first of all, it keeps the guacamole from turning brown. But it just cuts through that, just makes it so light and fresh.
Could you use lemon?
Not really. Lemon has just not the right flavor to it. It's too sweet. Lime is what you need to get that really nice flavor. on it, and it just pairs better with Mexican cuisines. Lemon just is too sweet, even though it's got the same properties. You know, it's very acidic, and it would prevent the avocado from turning brown, but it's just not the right flavor profile. And whatever you do not put pomegranate seeds in your guacamole. I once had it, and they were like, oh, you know, it was like a festive thing. It does not work. It is not like tomatoes. Here we go. I'm gonna mash that up in there. There we go. Looks like we still have about 1.5 cups of guac, so that will be enough to get us by. Especially since I have one kid who just does not like guacamole, and I don't know how. I'm like, how are you my kid if you don't like guacamole? It's just so good. All my other kids, the chip is just the vessel to eat the guac. Okay. Got that up. Let's throw in some tomatoes in our salad, since we have our avocado ranch. And we'll put a couple pickled onions on here. And this is gonna make our salad even better. So we've got some regular tomatoes, add a little bit of pico de gallo as well. That is just gonna add a little extra flavor. Okay. And then add some of your pickled onions to add in a little extra flavor as well. Just a little tang. And then we've got our avocado ranch. Let's build our tacos here, guys. And we will be ready to serve up. I told you guys, this is a meal that you guys can make in no time. And sometimes you just need those like 30-minute meals or something less. When you have like, if you're with youth sports, it just gets crazy. I feel like sometimes I'm always running around from soccer, gymnastics, basketball, all over the place. Here we go. Let's get ready to serve up. And then I know this might be crazy, but our family is the cheddar cheese with taco. Now they sometimes will do queso blanco or queso fresco, not blanco, but queso fresco. But my kids, they all love just some good old cheddar. I feel like it's a Midwest thing. Cheddar or a 90s taco thing, you know, where you grew up and you had your little taco shells and whatnot. Okay. Oh, you know what I need to grab? I always forget I have these. They're little sombreros. I also have dinosaur taco holders because, you know, sometimes we need that in life. Okay, let's build up our tacos as if we are at a Mexican restaurant and they come served. So we're gonna start with our flour tortillas, and we have our carnitas, which are made from our Boston butt roast that we steamed or cooked in our pressure cooker for 3 hours on high until it was soft and tender. I think I only need 2 because 3 might be too much. These are so big. And put them in here, and then we're going to top them off with our quick pickled onions, just to add a nice bit of tanginess for it. A nice dollop of guacamole in each one. And then of course a little bit of sharp cheddar cheese, but queso fresco works well as well. On there, here we go. Nice little sprinkle. And then we'll serve this up with our salad and our homemade avocado ranch dressing, just for a nice burst of freshness. And then of course we'll have chips to go with our dips. We've got guac and pico de gallo, but let's get our salad out here. So really fresh salad and a nice drizzle of our avocado ranch. We used half of an avocado in here. Beautiful. If it was me, it'd have even more on it. And then serve it with our pico and our guacamole for a super simple, easy, quick dinner. None there. Well, guys, thank you so much for joining us here today. Don't forget to like and subscribe. I try to do live cooking shows every single day, kind of show you what we're making for our family and hopefully teach you guys something along the way. Today was one of those days where you can use like a quick meal out there with just a little bit of prep. I popped this roast in there, it took me 5 minutes to prep up in my Instapot with just oregano, bay leaves, vegetable broth, a liquid smoke for a little thing, and then some tomato paste to give it this great seasoning, and then we spiced it up on our pan here. But it's just a really great way to throw these things together for a quick meal. And then all you have to do is prep your sides for dinner when it's time to it. But if you ever want to learn how to make this quick on your home too, we have this on a link on our page, so you can always watch and cook along with me again. We also have the link to our Amazon storefront that has all of our different cooking gear and gadgets in there. I've got my Hexclad pan. I don't know if I've got my Instapot in there, but I might have to add my Instapot in there because that is just a great meal for those days you need 30 minutes or less. But check that out. That's again on our page as well. But guys, thank you so much for joining us here. Don't